Hello, Pedesting community. This is Stampede season, and today we are here at the very new BMO Convention Center, the largest conference center in Western Canada. And today I'm joined by a very special guest, Kerri, the Vice President of Park Development and Major Projects here in the BMO Center. Today we are going to talk majorly about the new BMO Center and specifically on the accessibility part of it. What are the major accessibility activities available here? What are the special features? So we are going to talk all about that in this special interview. So a very warm welcome to you, Kerri, for joining us Pedesting platform to talk about the BMO Center. We are very glad to meet you today and to have you discuss this.
Great, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. We all know that the new BMO Center was opened very recently, and it is so amazing to see the considerations they made for accessibility. And I should also mention that in this particular project, the team has worked with accessibility experts from very starting of the project to make sure that they meet all the code requirements and even above and beyond the code. So with that note, let me start about understanding the exterior accessibility features around this new conference center. So Kerri, can you talk to us a little bit more about what are the external accessibility features surrounding the center?
For sure. One of the big ones was wayfinding, particular to finding your route to the building. And so we worked with some intuitive wayfinding features. So if you're outside of the building and you're looking to find your way into the building, we've worked through some concrete patterning outside so that it's an intuitive way to reach the building. I think maybe even stronger than that, one of the things that we did is we have a service animal relief area outside of the building, and it's very well marked so that people know where it is. So any of our guests that would have a service animal in the building, there is a relief area outside. So there's a lot of welcoming features as you enter the building that in terms of our accessibility.
And that's very notable because I've never heard about service animal relief area before, and this shows that how much thought has been gone into the process to make sure that anybody with a disability comes in and explores and enjoys the amenity. Thank you for sharing about that. So as we come in, so right from the entrance, the reception area, can you highlight some of the accessibility features installed inside?
Absolutely. So we worked with our accessibility consultant, Level Playing Field, and they guided a lot of the decisions that we made in the building in terms of some of the decisions we made. You had mentioned it. It was really important to us that we were better than code on this. So we worked with a number of accessibility groups across the board through Level Playing Field at the very start of the project to talk about things that were important to different groups. And some of the things that have manifested through some of that work that we did, for example, all of our signage in the building would have Braille on it. So in terms of wayfinding, there's Braille signage. We have accessible washrooms. We have barrier-free washrooms. And then in some of those barrier-free washrooms, we also have adult change tables, which isn't all that common in a convention center to date. So it was something that we really wanted to have in this building. We have a lot of tactile strips. So people that are hard of sight or have limited sight, there's tactile strips on the stairs. Anytime that we change grade in the building, there's not only visual, but also physical cues in the building. We have a lot of wide hallways as well for people with mobility issues. We have 2 passenger elevators for people to access all 3 floors in the building. And just a lot of small touches throughout really took into consideration welcoming all of our guests that have accessibility challenges.
That's amazing. And I would also like to understand a little bit better about what if there are different disabilities and the building has been designed to accommodate a lot of those. So for example, if someone's with a physical disability entering the building and they wanted to find out which place they wanted to go, so what kind of support system do they have in order to access the wayfinding and navigation? And also, can you touch a little bit upon the concrete patterns that you mentioned about the outdoor setting to understand better about the wayfinding?
Yeah, wayfinding is really important in a building this size. So the expansion is 565,000 additional square feet to our existing 500,000. So we are over 1 million square feet. So wayfinding became very important. So to answer your first question, once you're inside the building on the main floor, we have a concierge desk, and that's something that's really unique to our venue. So there's actually someone in person at all times during the building that can help you, determine where you need to be, what's your best routes of travel within the building. So that becomes a hands-on in-person experience. And then, like I said, once you're within the building, all of our signage has Braille on it. And so it becomes quite easy to navigate the building. We also have graphic signage as well. So all of our signage not only has Braille, it also has graphic, like pictograms as well for navigating the building. In terms of the concrete outside, it's got a different color to it. It also has a pattern in it. And so it's got grooves cut into the concrete. And so you're walking, it sort of guides you on a physical path. And those paths with the grooves in the concrete lead right to the entry doors into the building. So it's a very clear and marked path to say, this is my way to get into the building. It's visually appealing, but it also serves a purpose for our friends with accessibility challenges.
I wanted to understand a little bit more about the amenities available for people with hearing disabilities. Can you elaborate more on that?
It's a really great question, and it's something we took into consideration. So we have an assisted listening device program in the building. And so if you're hard of hearing or you have challenges with hearing, you have the ability to pick up at our concierge desk an assisted listening device that you can then take with you to the meeting rooms, and all of our meeting rooms are then equipped and would tie into that assisted listening device, giving our guests that have hearing challenges the ability to be able to participate in any of the larger meeting rooms where there's a lot of background noise. It really just sort of filters out the background noise and can also elevate the decibels of the speaker as well. So we've got that in place, and all of the meeting rooms that have that have signage outside indicating that that room is equipped with an assisted listening device inside.
That is pretty innovative and also very practical. Thank you for highlighting that. So when we come inside, once we find out where we are inside a space, we are inside a room. So what does it looks like in terms of seating, in terms of accessing the different facilities inside? I also wanted to notice that on my way, we saw that even the bar is designed in a way that somebody is in a wheelchair can reach it. So do you want to highlight some of those internal amenities?
Yeah. So we were really wanted to remain flexible in terms of how we can set up our spaces. So that's one of the really great features, is that nothing is fixed seating in any of our spaces. So we have the ability to set up rooms as needed, dependent on the type of guests that we have, particular to those events. So all of our seating can be reconfigured. Table heights can vary depending on if we have guests in wheelchairs or guests with mobility issues. So we have a lot of flexibility to set up as needed for that event and depending on who's attending the events. To the point that you made about the bar, so we do have a few places like the Lasso bar that would have a fixed countertop in them. We've made sure that all of those would have an accessible height as well. Same in the washrooms as well. All of our washroom counters as well, they all have an accessible sink, an accessible counter. All of those things that you would expect if you're in a wheelchair, you can find in the BMO Center.
And there's one point that I wanted to touch about food. So if there's any cafes or any restaurants set up inside the BMO Center, is it also comply and follow the codes that you've been putting in different spaces for accessibility?
Mm-hmm. So we have two different. So any of the food served at events here is through our own internal food and beverage team, and so they have the ability to take into account allergies, food sensitivities, anything like that can be accommodated through our catering team. And then we do have a grab and go market on the main floor. And so that's accessible to all our guests as well. And so that would be coffee, a sandwich, and a soup. And that has accessibility taken into consideration as well.
That's wonderful. Thank you for highlighting that. We have come down to the last couple of questions, and the center is designed for a lot of events and conferences. I wanted to understand a point about if there is a speaker who is in a wheelchair who has a disability, and if there is a stage or a podium in the center. So at some places we have realized that there is not a lot of accessible route for them to reach the podium or the stage. So is there any situations like that in the center? Is there efforts made in that space?
Yeah, actually, just behind where we're chatting today, we have what we call our grandstand. And so it is an elevated platform for speakers. We've got a couple of accessibility things that we took into consideration. So it's got a ramp. It's about 3 steps up. It does have a ramp behind it so that you could wheel up to be on the stage. And anywhere where we have the steps, we have tactile and physical markings, again, so that if anybody that has limited vision, they would know that they're standing at the edge of that grandstand. So we took exactly that into consideration, that we might have speakers either with limited vision or accessibility challenges, and they can use the grandstand just like any of our able-bodied guests can.
That is amazing. I'm very happy to know that. So come to my last question. So my last question is to understand about the invisible disabilities. So we spoke about the visible disabilities, different kinds. And so when it comes about sensory overload or any other invisible disabilities of that sort, is there any space or opportunity for people to go to keep them separate or to take a break to feel better in that situations?
Yeah, we definitely, in such a large space that can accommodate such large crowds, we definitely took that into consideration. And so actually in the space that we're in right now, the exchange, around the perimeter of the exchange, we have a number of small breakout meeting rooms that would fit anywhere from 2 people to 6 people. And so those are not bookable rooms. You can just use them in a first come, first serve basis. We also have a lot of seating alcoves and really sort of quiet corners in the building where we've put in soft seating with tables so that you could step away from anything that's too busy or too sensory and have a quiet moment in the building. So we've taken that into account, that there's a lot of sort of, I call them pockets in the building where you can take that into account.
Well, thank you so much for highlighting, explaining, and walking us through all the amenities for accessibility throughout the BMO Center. Is there any special highlight, or is there anything that you wanted to mention to our listeners or anybody about anything special about the building in terms of accessibility, or anything else that you wanted to highlight?
Yeah, I think I would just say it was a real team effort, like you said, to make sure that we had accounted for everything and all of the sort of groups that we might have in the building, that they were all sort of given a voice early in the design. And we're really proud of the efforts that have gotten us here. And we're ready to welcome the world. All of our guests will be welcome here.
So yes, we have come to the end of the discussion. Thank you so much for tuning to us. Like Kerri said, the doors of BMO Center is open to welcome everyone in the world. So finally, please, whenever you get a chance, check out, experience, and enjoy, and share your feedback and comments. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you so much, Kerri, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.